What's up, everybody? Jimmy Faluca reporting back with part 2 of my WrestleMania 32 card. Um, Travis, here's the rest of the card that you asked for, and here's the latter part. We went through the first 6 matches of how I would book WrestleMania, and I would now like to get into the last 6 matches. And I think so far, just the mid-card alone is pretty friggin' stacked. Well, now we're going to get to the next match on my card. The next match on my card I have featuring is a 6-pack challenge featuring the champion, the Divas champion, Sasha Banks, defending her title against Naomi, Paige, Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Charlotte. This is how it'll go down. I would have Sasha Banks win the Divas championship at SummerSlam. I mean, I don't know if a Divas match has been booked. If you're going to do a 3-way, one from each group, I would have Sasha Banks win that Divas title. I think Nikki Bella's held that title hostage long enough. I can't stand watching her wrestle. The only reason I'm throwing her in this match is because that's what the WWE would do. They're not going to have a Divas match without the Bellas, unfortunately. All due respect to them as ladies, but they suck. I haven't seen a single Bellas match that I actually enjoyed. Not a single one. But, yeah, I would have Sasha Banks win the Divas Championship at SummerSlam, and I would have her avoid the shit out of Charlotte on a consistent basis. I would have her face almost every single woman, every single month, at every single pay-per-view, except for Charlotte. There's a reason for that. Because at WrestleMania, Charlotte would win the Divas Championship. And in a perfect world, the next night she would take that belt, throw it in the trash, and take out the women's title. Because quite frankly, I can't stand the word diva. I think it devalues the women in general, because that's what they are. They're women. And they're women wrestlers. For the first time in a while, women's wrestling is actually getting a shot in the arm that it should be on national television. This should have happened a long time ago. It's like people celebrating about, oh, gay marriage is finally legal. What are you celebrating for? This is shit that should have happened a long time ago. Not to get political, but years ago, you couldn't marry anyone that your family didn't approve of or your family didn't pick. Like, my wife is Spanish. I'm Italian. Back in the day, if I wasn't marrying an Italian woman, my family would, by the culture, would disown me. Ain't no one going to tell me I can't marry my wife. Fuck you if you don't like it. I don't care who gets offended. So yeah, you shouldn't be celebrating that something's happening that should have happened years ago. So the Divas should have been taken seriously a long time ago. They should have been given more ring time. You had stars like Gail Kim. You didn't do her any favors, and she's one of the best women's workers of all time. But back to the match. I would have Charlotte win the Divas title at WrestleMania, and she would then rechristen it the women's title. Because these are women, and they deserve that type of respect. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Now, this is a match that a lot of people I know are not going to take seriously, especially considering that he lost the last 2 pay-per-view matches he was in. But I would do Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar. This is why. Kevin Owens, whether anyone realizes it or not, is one of the baddest motherfuckers in pro wrestling. He's a badass. And I could buy him in a match with Brock Lesnar. Size don't fucking mean everything. It's the mentality to be vicious and the willingness to go there. To go as far as you're willing to go to win. And this is how it starts. Regardless of whether Brock Lesnar beats The Undertaker or loses to The Undertaker at SummerSlam would be irrelevant. Because Brock Lesnar would throw his name in the hat for the Royal Rumble. And I would have it to where he shows up on a Raw and competes in a match as a surprise and somehow gets the number 30 spot. And everyone right off the bat's going to be saying, well, that's it. Brock Lesnar's winning the Royal Rumble. And Brock Lesnar would constantly bump shoulders with the authority saying, I'm taking the belt back that you guys stole from me. And that's that. But what happens? Brock Lesnar enters at number 30. Paul Heyman's counting the suplexes, and God knows there'd be a lot of them. But what happens is, just as Brock Lesnar's like about to F5 somebody, maybe the Big Show, somebody that's big or whatever, Kevin Owens shows up. He viciously attacks Brock Lesnar, kicks him in the balls a few times, power bombs him on the apron. And Brock Lesnar gets eliminated due to Kevin Owens' interference. Brock Lesnar's hurt. He's got to sell the power bomb on the apron. Because whether anyone realizes or not, that apron's a sharp part of the ring. It's the sharpest part of the ring next to the steel steps, or at least the edges of the steel steps. So Kevin Owens and to keep the angle going, Kevin Owens and Paul Heyman would trade promos, and this is like promo heaven because Kevin Owens is a damn good fucking promo, especially when he doesn't have any, handcuffs on him. The guy's a damn good promo. And Paul Heyman would basically tell Kevin Owens, you could tell your boss Triple H that my client's coming for him, and then Kevin Owens could turn around and say, Triple H don't have nothing to do with me attacking Brock Lesnar. I chose to do it on my own. I thought that Brock Lesnar was disrespectful to the guy that basically brought him back to the WWE. Brock Lesnar walks around here like he's tough shit. I know I'm tougher, so I called him out. Paul Heyman is promoing Kevin Owens almost every other week. But then at Fastlane, when Paul Heyman comes in the ring to cut a promo, Kevin Owens comes out. He doesn't say a word. He looks like he's going to say something. But what does he do? He attacks Paul Heyman. He attacks him. And he puts him down and he hurts him. I don't know if he hits him with the pop-up powerbomb. I don't know how old Paul is. I wouldn't want him to be severely injured. But I'd have Kevin Owens maybe punch him in the mouth, kick him in the stomach a few times, give him a beating. Send a message to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is pissed. Shows up on one of the Raws heading into WrestleMania and demands Kevin Owens on a silver platter. Triple H flat out refuses. Says, I ain't giving you Kevin Owens. Brock Lesnar interferes in like 1 or 2 matches. And he's got a referee in the Kimura lock. And he says, if you don't give me the match with him, I will break this referee's arm. And then he does it. And then he grabs a cameraman and says, I will not stop until you give me Kevin. And then Stephanie says, all right, fine. You have Kevin Owens. And then Brock Lesnar says, no holds barred. I'm going to hurt this kid. No holds barred. They give it to him. And at WrestleMania, these two guys kick the shit out of each other. The match is not even 2 minutes long. Brock Lesnar hits him with an F5. Brock doesn't even try to cover him. There's probably maybe 2 or 3 kickouts in this match, if I'm booking it. Brock Lesnar is abusing him. And then Brock Lesnar tries to go outside the ring to follow Owens. Owens hits him below the belt. Power bombs him on the apron. Brock's hurt. Following up on the injury. See? Continuity. He gets Brock Lesnar. He gets Brock Lesnar in the ring. Tries to pin him. Brock kicks out. Afterwards, Brock hits him with the second F5. But Kevin Owens kicks out. And during the match, from the onset, Kevin Owens tries to undo the padding on the top turnbuckle. Right? So Brock Lesnar, as Kevin Owens is pulling on the top turnbuckle, gives him a German suplex. But as he gives him that German suplex, he pulls off the friggin' turnbuckle. He pulls off the turnbuckle. And as Brock goes to charge him, when he gets back to that corner, Brock smacks his head on the friggin' turnbuckle and knocks himself silly. He turns around, Owens hits him with the pop-up powerbomb, Brock kicks out. And then Owens flips. He destroys Brock with the chair, gives him a regular powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens, it is not a clean victory because he had to use weapons. So Brock, in a sense, is protected. But at the same time, you're building Kevin Owens up as a monster. And Kevin Owens is a made man. He's a made man. And isn't that basically what this shit is all about? Laying the groundwork for the next generation? How many years are you going to be able to rely on guys like Brock Lesnar? Guys like The Rock? Guys like Triple H? Guys like The Undertaker? Guys like Cena, Orton, Batista? You can't rely on these guys forever. Jimmy Snuka, at one point, was one of the most popular wrestlers in the world. But when it came time, he put Taker over every time they fought. Undertaker was taken seriously because he took a legend like Jimmy Snuka and destroyed him. You have to do things like that. Sorry. It's like getting wisdom teeth pulled. I got to get all 4 of mine pulled by the end of the year. Guess what? This tooth's got to be pulled. And Kevin Owens would go over in that fashion. So that way Brock is still protected in a sense, but Kevin Owens is looked at, okay, he's a bad son of a bitch. He's a bad son of a bitch. Now we get to the next match. And this is a match that, you know, on a stage like WrestleMania, it would be a show stealer. Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. That is a match I would do. And this is how it would work. John Cena would lose the United States title, as I said, to Cesaro at Survivor Series. Now he's focusing on the WWE title. He says, I need to win that title for a 16th time. That's my focus. He enters the Royal Rumble, but in that Royal Rumble, he's eliminated by the New Day. And the New Day just, they eliminate him out of the Rumble. All 3 of them. It takes all 3 of them. And believe me when I tell you, Cena would be pissed because now, there goes his shot. There goes his shot. And this is where, and I know this may sound a little silly, I would have the New Day pull double duty at Fastlane. Hear me out. Because they would compete in another match, but all 3 of them would compete. All 3 of them would compete. And they would be coming off a victory in the previous match. So the momentum is in their favor. Because remember, the heels would win that 4-on-4 tag match. And they wouldn't be having too much ring time because there's, 8 guys out there. So they wouldn't be exhausted. They would be able to do this. And trust me, the 3 of them are more than qualified to do it. Kofi Kingston's been doing this for a while. Big E Langston's is a big motherfucker. And Xavier Woods is friggin' good. He just doesn't get the opportunity to show how good he is. So they would eliminate Cena. So think of this. You're the continuity. You're doing so many different stories all at once, making everybody feel important. That's the way it should be. It's not that hard. So then Cena challenges the New Day, says, I'll take on all 3 of yous. And I'll take all 3 of yous on at Fastlane. They figure we're gonna win our tag match with the Wyatts against those 4 losers, and then we get to beat up Super Cena 3-on-1. Easy. But Cena says, I'm not coming alone at Fastlane. I will have a partner. I just haven't decided who that partner is. The go-home show to Fastlane. John Cena calls out the New Day and says, listen, I ain't waiting until Fastlane to whip your asses. You guys cost me a shot at the WWE Championship, and I'm pissed. You 3 guys get your asses out here because now I'm going to kick the crap out of you. They come out. They beat him up. Daniel Bryan's music hits. The place friggin' explodes. Explodes. Bryan's helping Cena clean house. They're standing tall. The New Day now realizes they have to take on the tandem of John Cena and Daniel Bryan. Now Fastlane ain't such a cakewalk for them anymore. They have the match. It would probably end up being a really damn good match. And John Cena would get the pinfall victory. I would have it to where Daniel Bryan hits Kofi Kingston with the running knee and he walks right into the AA. Cena gets the victory, 1, 2, 3. But at the end, Daniel Bryan and John Cena are staring at each other and then they look up at the WrestleMania sign. Thing? Seeds are already planted. It's like I'm a gardener. I'm planting all these different seeds and they're all good. They're not weeds. They're beautiful flowers. The next night on Raw, Daniel Bryan comes out. The fans no doubt will be going nuts because I don't give a fuck what anyone says. The guy's the most over guy in the company when he's on. The most over. Nobody can match him. It ain't the chant. It's him. If it wasn't him, it would have died out years ago. It would be like the Fandango thing. They do it here and there, but they don't really give a fuck for Fandango. They give a fuck for Daniel Bryan, like it or not. He comes out. He thanks the fans for not forgetting him, that he's glad to be back. He doesn't have an opponent, though, for WrestleMania. He's like, I got to fix that. I don't have an opponent for WrestleMania. Every WrestleMania, I've done something special. John Cena's music hits. Comes out, he puts Bryan over. He says, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad that you're able to recover from your injuries. And as far as your WrestleMania problem, I have the solution to your problem. Face me at WrestleMania. Now, how this would work is they would shake hands, and leading up to WrestleMania, they would team up. Because I'm sure they would probably have good chemistry as a team. But they start to try to outdo each other. But then, during like maybe the second, I think the second tag match they have with each other, one guy accidentally cost the other guy the win, and then 1 week after, 2 weeks in a row, they trade finishers on each other. They were one-upping each other, but then the week of WrestleMania, they're on like Miz TV or something. And then they start to really stab at each other. They're getting personal. Cena could turn around and make them both get a little heelish. Believe me, Bryan's not a bad heel. So, and then it ends up in a pull-apart brawl. And at WrestleMania, it would not change. John Cena has never, ever defeated Daniel Bryan on pay-per-view, and I would never change that. Bryan would... But this time, I'm booking it, so I'm doing it my way. Bryan taps him out. Nobody would see that coming. Nobody would see that coming. Have him work on his shoulder the entire match. And this time, there is no elbow injury. Have Cena put him over 150% clean. There is no cleaner victory than a submission. And that's why I was pissed off about Kevin Owens losing the way he did at Battleground. Because there's no cleaner finish than a submission. And John Cena would not be hurt from this, unlike Kevin Owens, because John Cena is cast iron. He is a legend. Nothing short of a Benoit situation or a Hogan situation could erase what he's done. Losing to Daniel Bryan in a submission is nothing to be ashamed of. The guy knows 100 different ways to submit somebody. And you could have heels hold that over Cena over his head all year. There you go. You just wrote more television. And they shake hands when the match is over. Now, the next match. The Rock versus Triple H. Triple H, who will have competed in a tag match at Fastlane with his protege and the WWE champion, Roman Reigns, you heard me right, against the tandem of Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Yes, you heard me right. We'll get to that later. He's a little despondent that he lost to Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble, because they would have had a match at the Royal Rumble, where if Seth Rollins wins, he's the #1 contender. But then Triple H would lose both of those matches. Triple H would lose both matches. He would lose at the Royal Rumble. He would trade tweets with The Rock, because The Rock would congratulate Seth Rollins on beating Triple H, and then Triple H would make some sort of a snide remark on Twitter. They would go back and forth for like a week or two, and then The Rock would show up on Raw to confront Triple H. Triple H cheap shots him and hits him with the pedigree. But then at Fastlane, when they have the tag match between Ambrose and Rollins against Triple H and Reigns, which would be the main event, just as it looks like the Authority's got the upper hand, J&J Security's beating down on Rollins and Ambrose, who shows up? The Rock. And he costs Triple H the match. And right there, you have it set up, The Rock versus Triple H at WrestleMania. In all honesty, you could have either guy win that match. I don't think anyone will be disappointed, because it's revisiting a rivalry that people enjoyed. And in doing so, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are rubbing shoulders with The Rock. It does nothing but help them. And that's that match. Now we get to my favorite. Can't believe how I just blasted through those two matches. Now we get to the match that I want to see more than anything in this world. The Undertaker versus Sting. And there are two ways you can do this match, and it all depends on the match coming up at SummerSlam against Brock Lesnar. Yes. Part A. You could do it one of two ways, A or B. We're going to start with A. A, The Undertaker beats Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. However it happens. He either has help from Kane or he does it on his own. The night after he comes out on Raw, he says, I've accomplished everything I've wanted to accomplish in this business. Brock Lesnar was the one hurdle I never overcame until last night. I have nothing left to prove. I officially announced my retirement, and I'm going back to the dark side. Undertaker no doubt would leave to a standing ovation. I know, just hearing that, I'm getting emotional because to know he's retiring sucks because I love him. He's my hero. Make fun of me all you want. I don't care. The night after the Royal Rumble, which is obviously a hot night, you notice I'm lining all these things up, The Undertaker is announced as the headliner for the Hall of Fame. Is there a more deserving man of the Hall of Fame than The Undertaker? Because I can't think of one that isn't already in. I can't think of anyone more deserving except for maybe The Rock. The Undertaker is then advertised to be showing up at Fastlane to discuss his Hall of Fame induction. And you have Jim Ross conduct the interview. Call JR and have him conduct the interview with The Undertaker. You're bringing more viewers in because people still love JR. The Undertaker discusses the Hall of Fame. He talks about how, it's been a long journey, 25 years. He earned the respect of his fans, his peers. And just as he's about to say goodbye, Sting shows up. He don't even say a word. He just looks at The Undertaker and then looks up at the Wrestlemania sign. And everyone's going nuts, including me. Because if that happens, I would lose my shit. I can't stop smiling. I would have The Undertaker refuse on principle. I'm retired. I did everything I set out to do. And Sting could turn around and say, after all these years, I'm finally here. We could finally do this and finally find out which one of us is better. And you're going to refuse? Undertaker comes out to sign away his career. He's going to sign some sort of contract with Vince to say that his career is over. Sting shows up and gives Undertaker no attorney. He says, if you don't take this match with me, you're proving that after all these years of speculation, that you're not better than me. That I was always better. Now we could finally lay to rest. I should no longer be compared to you because I'm better than you. And I was always better than you. Undertaker turned around and says, all right, fine. I'll do the match. But on one condition. Not only will my career be over, but yours as well. You're going to be the guy win. Or you could go with plan B, which is the more than likely, way to go. Undertaker loses to Brock Lesnar clean. The next night on Raw, The Undertaker comes out and he says, I failed to beat Brock Lesnar. I now know that what happened at WrestleMania 30 was not a fluke. Brock is simply better than me. Or whatever. I wouldn't have The Undertaker say that, but I would have him admit defeat. He says, I can't beat Brock Lesnar. And as a result, I've decided that it's time for me to retire. And as he's about to leave the ring, Sting shows up. And just looks The Undertaker in the eye. Undertaker walks away. For months, Sting sends messages, I want The Undertaker. At Survivor Series, which is The Undertaker's anniversary, he comes out to answer Sting's challenge, and he says, I have nothing to prove to you. At the Royal Rumble, Sting is also advertised that he's going to call out Vince McMahon. He says, if I can't get to the Taker, I'll get to his boss. And Vince says, I've had zero contact with The Undertaker since November. But that night, he agreed to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then they showed the video package. The next night, they show the video package again, but they show Sting watching. Undertaker's then advertised for Fastlane, so he could discuss the Hall of Fame with Jim Ross, the exact same way that I described in Part A. Sting comes out, demands the match. Undertaker at first refuses, but then maybe JR even intervenes during that segment and says, Undertaker, if you feel that you have to retire because you've had your time and it's over, that's understandable. But if you're retiring because you failed to beat Brock Lesnar, then you're retiring for the wrong reasons. You need to retire when you think it's time. And judging by them, because the fans would be reacting, it's not time. Undertaker would finally accept the match and would tell Sting, I will face you at WrestleMania. But regardless of what happens in that match, win, lose, or draw, both of us are done after WrestleMania. Not only will my career be over, but yours as well. That's a line I would use, and Sting accepts. They do the match, and you could have either man win. I don't care who. More than likely would be The Undertaker, because they're not going to have anyone else other than Brock beat him, at least in my estimation, and you have them both walk away together, similar to Hogan and The Rock. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. It's a match that simply, it's just like they said on WWE.com. The one thing I do agree, it is a match that simply must happen. And now we get to the main event, which is a match that I think they should be saving for WrestleMania, which is Roman Reigns as the champion versus Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins in a three-way match for the WWE Championship. And this is how it'll work. Roman Reigns would win the WWE Championship from Seth Rollins at Survivor Series thanks to the Authority. The Authority would turn their backs on Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose is shocked that Roman Reigns would take the pay that Triple H offered him, and that they kicked Rollins to the curb, and now Ambrose realizes that Triple H and the Authority is the reason that Rollins was doing all the things he was doing, because he was being told. Reigns wanted it to be him from the start. It should have been him from the start that the Authority ran with, otherwise none of this nonsense would be going on. Now what happens is this. Seth Rollins demands a match with Triple H at WrestleMania. No, I'm sorry. He demands a match with Triple H at the Royal Rumble, because he realizes that until Triple H is out of the way, he's never going to get a fair shot. Because I would also have a rematch at TLC in which the Authority's all over Rollins. It's almost not even a contest, and Reigns retains the title. I would have Seth Rollins have a match with Triple H, where if he wins, he's the #1 contender for the title. And I would have Seth Rollins go over clean. This is a period for building talent, not knocking them down. Also, Dean Ambrose, the Lunatic Fringe, yes, would win the Royal Rumble. After this year's Royal Rumble, after last year's Royal Rumble, after the year before. How do they not have a babyface win this Rumble? How many Royal Rumbles have to end with the fans booing the winner that isn't a fucking heel? I'm just so sick and tired of this Royal Rumble that used to be a pay-per-view that I looked forward to. I now dread it now. Because more than likely they're going to have the guy win that I don't fucking want. And more than likely the fans don't want. You saw the reception Roman Reigns and The Rock got this year. You saw the reception Batista got last year. And you saw the reception Cena got, because the fans didn't fucking want them to win. It's retarded to go against the fans. Because if you go with them, they have no reason to fucking complain. And it's much more smoother sailing. And you're actually doing the right thing. Now, also, at Fastlane, I would have Triple H book a match with him teaming up with his protege, the WWE Champion Roman Reigns, against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. He could be like, I don't care if you two could get along or not. If either one of you gets pinned, whoever gets pinned is out, is no longer entitled to a title match. You could tease dissension between Rollins and Ambrose, but they ultimately realize they got to stick together, otherwise they're both going to lose their title shots. And they both realize they have a better shot at beating Reigns if they got each other, because the Authority is going to be in Reigns' corner regardless. See? Continuity. But in that match, The Rock shows up to attack Triple H, who attacked him previously, and helps the two youngsters win. The Rock raises both their hands when it's over, and Triple H is fuming. He's hotter than a $2 steak. He wants to get his hands on The Rock. The Authority and Stephanie are holding him back. And, yeah. And a triple threat match is set for WrestleMania between the members of The Shield. And you could have any of those guys win that match. Personally, I would have Ambrose win because he won the Rumble. You know, the babyface winning the Royal Rumble that the fans love and winning the title, that hasn't happened in a long fucking while. Do that. And you could have a rematch at Extreme Rules. In an Extreme Rules match. A 3-way Extreme Rules match. And there's something else I forgot to mention, and I'm an idiot. Damn it. In that match between The Rock and Triple H, I'd have fucking Stone Cold as the referee. Now, putting a lid on all this, with everything I just gave you, that entire card from bottom all the way to the top, There was not one match that could not conceivably happen, and not one story that I went point by point that wouldn't make sense. The reason I didn't go in depth with the women matches is because it's simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Now, like I said, with every one of those matches, they all could conceivably happen. I'm not using Shinsuke Nakamura from Japan. I'm not taking Davey Richards. I'm using the guys available to the WWE. And quite honestly, there isn't a single match on that card that I just gave you that isn't decent. They're all good matches, and they're matches the fans would be into. Well, that's going to do it for me, guys. That's as in-depth as I could go on WrestleMania 32. I mean, and I'm going to repost this video when WrestleMania 32 is about to happen, and then you guys can compare the cards. Who could do a better job? Here you go. Was that a bad WrestleMania? Be honest with me. Give me some feedback. Tell me the matches that you would be looking forward to seeing. Let me know the matches you really don't care for. Let me know the matches you think would be show stealers or matches that you think would suck. Please give me your feedback. I'm more than welcome to it. I hope you guys enjoyed, especially you guys on TKC and OWN. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Travis, I believe I answered your request, man. I hope you enjoy it, and give me some feedback, guys. Take care.